let's rework a vintage t-shirt. I have been doing these this season. I've done them in the past, but never quite like this. So here's the t-shirt. These are your supplies. Here's the t-shirt. Here is some sort of sequined sleeve. You can do a denim sleeve. You could do a lace sleeve. You can do any sleeve you want. I happen to be doing these sequin sleeves. This is one of those vintage jackets that I found, and this is what I do. So first off, I cut the sleeves off. So I cut the sleeves off below or on the inside of the seam. Can you see? Because I don't want the seam in the way when I'm stitching it. So I cut the two sleeves off. Now I have my good scissors right now. I have scissors that I use for cutting fabrics like this, and I have another pair of scissors that I use for the actual sequin part. Okay, so there we go. Now, as far as the neckline goes, there's several different things you can do. You can leave it like this with this ribbing. You can also cut the ribbing off, and it's not hard to do. And the thing that's great about t-shirting is once you cut it, it doesn't really show any mistakes. So don't be afraid to cut it. Just go for it. Listen, you just have to go for these things, because otherwise, if you're deciding, oh, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? Now suddenly, when you let confusion into your design process, it really, really will slow you down. Better to make a mistake than to not make a mistake and do nothing. All right, so there we go. Now you can see when you do that, the neckline gets a little bigger. Now be careful, if it's a bigger shirt, it could be suddenly a boat neck shirt. So this is the second way you can make the neckline. The third way, I'll just do it with this one, is a little V. Now, I just did a little slit. Okay, I've made this mistake just recently. Careful not to make the slit too low. This actually could go a little bit lower, because what'll start to happen is it'll start falling off the sleeve, and that is irritating to the client. But I do think I can go a little bit lower. It's kind of a sexier look, so, okay, so that's the t-shirt is ready to go. Now, as far as this goes, I use my sequin cutting sleeves. So I do this because the sleeves will get dull, the scissors will get dull very quickly cutting sequins. Now again, the same thing, I cut it on the inside of the seam. The seam is still attached. This is what I mean by the seam, by the way. It's still attached to the body of the garment. So I cut it around the sleeve, see, and I just go like this. Now, sometimes in these old jackets, there's also a shoulder pad. And in this case, you can see these are terrible scissors, but I can straighten out any mess afterwards. So I'm running into that, I'm cutting the actual shoulder pad. Let's take the shoulder pad out. So again, you can be careful. I mean, don't be not careful, but don't let it slow you down. Oh my God, there's a seam here that I can't get. Okay, I think I need some new sequin cutting scissors. These are pretty dull. Okay, so I'm cutting it around, and you can feel it. Like once you do it a couple times, you can feel it. So there's the sleeve. Now you have a choice. You can keep the lining, or you can do it without the lining. I like it both ways. The lining definitely makes it warm. It's a warmer piece. It's also softer. I'm going to keep the lining on this one. But you can see this is how the sleeve's going to look. So I can see here that I missed a part where there's a little bit of a seam here. And I'm going to use the right scissors. And there we go. So that's one of the sleeves. And then I'm going to catch you up in a minute with the other one. Okay, so I have the 2 sleeves and I have the t-shirt. I'm turning the t-shirt on inside out. And then what I'm going to do is I want to make sure the bottom of the arm is matched up to the bottom of the sleeve. So it's sitting on the body right. So you want to put right side with right side together. So both items, this is the inside and the inside. Okay, is that right? That's not right, because you know why that's not right? That would be right if you were sewing it on an overlock. See, you have to check yourself all the time. It's not right because the way I do the whip stitching, I want it to be on the outside. So in that case, you go to think it through so that, is this right? Oh my gosh, see? I don't even know what I'm doing. Is this right? Yeah. So you go, so it's wrong side with wrong side, and I'm going to pin it together. So it's, I know where the bottom is, that's where it needs to end up. And then the top, I'm going to pin at the top of the actual piece, the actual t-shirt. What's great about working and practicing on a t-shirt is there's a nice, okay, the pin came out. It's really important, this is an important part, as you don't want the bottom of the sequin piece to end up here. It's not going to fit right and it's going to look funny. So this is probably the most important part, is making sure you get the sleeve where you want it. And it took me years to really appreciate the art of pinning. I know that sounds silly, but I used to just go for it and I made so many mistakes. Okay, so you can see, if you hold it correctly, that here's the bottom and here's the top. Okay, so I'm going to pin this top down. And then I'm going to decide what color I'm going to sew. Now, if you want to, you can add a couple more pins. Some people, it does actually tend to make the actual stitching go a little bit faster if you know where you're going. It's kind of like driving in a weird way. And then also, because this has lining, you want to make sure when you're stitching, you're not just getting the lining. You want to make sure you're getting the sequins too. So if you want to pin in 4 spots, you also want to make sure you get the lining, that you don't want the lining not stitched. So it doesn't hurt to add a couple pins. You can see it's not like it's slowing me down in any way. Get a pin. Okay, so next I'm going to decide, this is the color I'm using. I'm looking over there right now. I'm using this color. I could use this color too, because this has, but this is the right color for my aesthetic and my eyes. And then the other thing you need to do as let's see, is find the right needle. And you know, this can kind of be a pain in the ass, because sometimes the needle, you can be stuck actually trying to thread the needle with this yarn. You can be stuck doing this. I feel like this thread is actually skinny enough that I'm not going to get stuck. Let's see how we go. Yeah, because sometimes with this thread, it'll go in you'll get some of it, but not all of it. There, I got it. I did it. I like to double this. I like this yarn that is multicolored because I like the way it stitches, you know, uniquely around. All right, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start. Sometimes it's good to start at the bottom because you're gonna tie it off at some point, and if you're lucky, you won't have to restitch. If you're smart, if you did good, you won't have to rethread anything. So I'm gonna put a knot in here so it doesn't fall out. And then I'm just gonna take my time here, and I'm literally, biggest thing is making sure you have all, so there's 3 layers. There's the sequins, there's the lining, and then there's the actual shirt itself. So you wanna make sure you have all of those. That's why sometimes pinning right now, if you're not confident, could be a good idea. And you could actually be more efficient in your stitching. All right, so I just literally just go through. And what's great about doing something like this is the hand work is not supposed to be perfect, and it actually brings value to the item because it's done by hand. So let me zoom forward. Okay, so we're just coming to the end, and what's great is the yarn was long enough that I didn't actually have to rethread it. So I'm gonna tighten it. It's kind of up to you how tight you want, how close you want the stitches, or I mean, you can do a lot of different things. You could do cross hatch stitch. You know, there's other, you can be creative within this space of doing a t-shirt. So here we go. So it's all in there. So I'm going to pull it out, and ta-da, I'm going to put it on for you. You can see what it looks like. Yeah, there is a little spot where it's sticking, the actual lining is sticking out a little bit. You can just stick that back in, and there we go. So these are all vintage, sustainable, upcycled, recycled, and you can see it doesn't take a lot of time. It's up to your creativity, how you want to mix the colors and how you want to make it unique to you. So thanks for being in the studio with me today, and thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more.